All right. First things first, this is composition 2. Does anybody need to add themselves to our classroom, or are we good to go? If you need to, the code is here. I wanted to show you the first thing that we're going to be working with, so everybody needs to go there now. And it says position puzzles. And you can see that you can click on that, and there's a PDF in there. And we're going to take just a few minutes because I don't really know you all, and I kind of want to see how your thinking goes, okay? So I'm going to assign you to a breakout room. It's probably going to be you, an adult, and maybe 2 other people that are students. And your goal is to figure out these position puzzles. So what is a position puzzle? It says, these types of puzzles have enticed minds for years. You might have come across them as wacky wordies, or it tells some different names here, but it says, I have called them position puzzles because for the most part, figuring them out requires that you look at the position of the words. The puzzles are words, letters, numbers, lines, and symbols that represent familiar words, items, places, sayings, movies, etc. And then it gives a few examples, but I think you've seen these before maybe, so I think you'll be able to figure it out. So click on that, please, and open it up. I'm going to put you in your breakout groups. If I can find the breakout, there we go, breakout rooms. I'm going to go manually in it. How many kids do we have?
7.
I mean, young people with 7. So how many people are in here total?
13,
13,
including yourself.
All right, well, we'll go with 4 different rooms. Okay, here we go. So let's create these rooms. I'm going to assign them now. Let's see, Adrian and Devin, Emily. I'm going to put you in breakout room 1. And then I'm going to put, let's see here, Colton, Eve, Caleb in breakout room 2. In breakout room 3, I'm going to put Sailor Veronica, whoops, Sailor, come on. Oh, how do I do it? Go back in here. Okay, Sailor, and let's go Dan, and let's go Madison. Okay, and then in breakout room 4, I'm gonna have Deanne, Mrs. Votes, and Mr. How do you say your last name, John?
Leahy.
Leahy. Yeah.
Leahy, okay, I'm gonna put you in there, and then also Veronica as well. All right, so I'm gonna send you in there. You need to try to figure out as many of these as you can, but I'm only gonna give you a couple minutes, okay, to figure out as many as you can. And by the way, I think there's gonna be a prize, so I'll have to get this to you somehow. I don't know if I'm gonna mail it to you or what, but you'll get a free Route 44. So the group with the most figured out, if you're in that group, you're getting a Route 44 certificate. Here we go.
Oh, you're muted, Chase.
All right, is everybody back?
We're missing Sailor. Somehow we lost Sailor.
Uh-oh, okay, well, let's give her a second to see if she gets back in here then.
Okay.
There she is. I hope you all got a chance to like write some of these down too, okay? I need a leader from each group basically to tell me what you were thinking on some of these, and I'll just tell you how many points you get, okay? So we can look at, you can be looking at the document all together, or I could screen share. I guess I could do that. Let's do that. Where is it? There it is. Okay. All right, let's start with group one. Who was in group one and who wants to be the leader of group one?
Emily and Devin. Saw Emily
Who?
raise her hand.
Is it Emily? All right, Emily, you got to tell me which ones you're looking at and tell me what you think, okay?
I couldn't very hear them very well, but I like one thing after another. Broken heart, pay raise, lowered temperature.
Okay, slow down just a second. Okay, so you're on page one, the first square, one thing after another. Is that what you said? Yes, that is correct. That's 1 point. All of you that are in different groups, if you've got that, just assign yourself a point, okay? We're going to do the honors and you can just tell me what you got. So number one is one thing after another. What about square two?
Heart,
Emily, speak a little louder. I'm sorry.
broken heart,
Yes, broken heart. Number three?
pay raise,
Yes, number four.
lowered temperature,
Well, a drop in temperature. I'll give you that one. Go ahead.
last but not least,
Good. Number six?
I couldn't get that one.
Did you get number six? No? All right. Did anyone else think they had it? All right, Dan, what'd you think?
Our group, hard up for cash.
Yes, hard up for cash. Good job. How about number seven? If you think you had it, go ahead and speak. I can't see everybody on my screen. I'm sorry. Number seven is but on second thought. But on second thought. Number eight? Okay, better question. Who has some more that you would like to check instead of me going through them all? Okay, Emily, what's next?
Right path,
I'm sorry?
I think it's number 9,
Number 9 on the first page. And what did you say it was?
the right path,
The straight and narrow path is what I was looking for on that one. Okay, what else?
We have the next one.
Okay, Mrs. Votes, tell me what it is.
Well, I can't even see it. Oh, 1 in a million.
Yes, it's 1 in a million. Good job. Number 11.
We have the next one.
Okay, go for it.
2 under par.
Yep, 2 under par. Number 11 actually was bookends.
What's the
Anybody
one
get to
above it?
page 2?
What's the two it one? I couldn't get it.
I'm sorry?
What's the two it's one?
Tell me what square you're in. Page
Number
1.
eight. Number 8.
Number 8. Oh, okay. It's the tall and the short of it.
Aha. Okay.
Ah. Did anyone have, let's see, page 2? If so, speak out loud. How about page 3?
Why, what did he say?
Well, on page 2, my group, we had fooling around and fat chance.
Okay, Colton, tell me, you're on page 2. What box are you in?
The first one, fooling around.
Yes, it's fooling around. Good job.
And then the third one we said was fat chance.
Yes, fat chance.
Okay.
I saw Eve raise her hand. Did you have one, Eve?
I was gonna say those.
Okay, well, you can give yourself points for those. Good.
I'm just kidding.
Did anyone else have any on page 2?
The one after fat chance, is it musically inclined?
Musically inclined. Good job.
Then the
Anything
beginning
else
of
on
the
page
end.
2?
Is that the beginning of the end? The next one?
Yes, are you doing these now or did you have them before?
No, we had them before in our
Oh,
group.
okay, go ahead.
Then would the next one after that be born again?
Yes, born again.
I don't know if we had any more. Oh, more space, maybe?
Where
For
at?
the middle one on that
Number
row.
8.
Yeah.
That's room for one more.
Oh, okay. We didn't get that one. I
Okay.
think that's.
Is that all of them, Colton?
Oh, the middle on the bottom row, step out of place.
The middle on the bottom? Nope, that's one step ahead.
Dang it. Okay.
Okay. All right,
Oh.
page 2, page 3, page 4. Anybody else want to claim some points? Speak now. Okay, so group. Oh, go ahead, Eve.
On the last page, I think we had some.
Okay, page 4. Tell me what box you're in.
No, it was the third one.
Oh, the third one. Okay.
Yeah.
What box?
I don't know. I can't see.
Okay, they go 1, 2, 3. Then you drop down, and we'll go 4, 5, 6.
On page 3 though.
Yes, page 3.
That
You're on page 4.
Okay.
I think we had the one that's flat broke, but I don't know which square it is.
Yes, square 7.
Yeah.
Yep, flat broke. Good
And
job.
then the next one, is it half baked?
Yes, half baked.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Are there any others?
Would the one under flat broke be June showers?
That would be number 7. June's busting out all over. I've never heard of that one before. Sorry. Are there any others? Okay, groups, I want you to count up. I need some leader from each group to count up how many points you have. And then I want you to type in everybody's names so I know who I'm sending these to. Actually, I'll probably just give them to Adrienne or Dan or somebody, okay? And then they can mail them out. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Okay, awesome. So I need to know how many points you have. So put that in the chat box, please. Wow, Colton's group had 13. Shoot. That's awesome. Okay. Well, I trust that you guys will get those numbers in. And it looks like, Colton, do I have everybody in your group there? Was it just 3 people?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'll get the, Dan or Adrian, you might write those 3 down. And then I'll
Okay.
give you I'll bring those certificates sometime this week to you, okay?
Perfect.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Today, we're going to talk about personal writing. So this is writing that involves just you, but we're going to talk about personal writing that is actually published sometimes, and it's actually for an intended audience. And really, there are 2 types of that. You've got journals and you have autobiographies. So let's go back to the composition classroom on Google. And you see where it says stream. We're looking at the stream here. I'm going to click on classwork. And do you see journals and autobiographies? You'll have 2 things underneath that. The first is the materials. That is the slideshow that I'm going to take you through. And the second would be the assignment, which you're going to start working on today. I don't think this is going to take us very long. So it's kind of good that that activity lasted a little longer than I thought. All right, so let's get started. And I will present this to everyone. So first I want to start with a couple questions and I need you to discuss. So even if you're somebody that's like super shy and you don't like to talk a lot, go ahead and put some words out anyway, okay? Be real brave for me. I need you to come up with a definition of journal. And I also want you to answer the question, why would anyone want to journal? Like what purpose does that serve? Think about it, think about it, think about it. And then we'll discuss it.
How come it won't let me pick who I want to chat with?
I don't know. You should be able to look in the chat box and maybe it says like,
It
Two?
just says everyone and I can't change it.
I don't know why.
Deanne, are you, I might make you a co-host. Actually, it's not letting me make you a co-host.
Chase, if
I'm
you
okay with that.
if you
Do I
right
need to do it? Maybe I need to.
Yeah, if you right click on her, you should.
I see. I can make you a co-host. I'm sorry. Do you want to make? Yes, I do.
Well,
Now you should be able to chat with everyone.
well, I could already chat with everyone, but I couldn't chat with any one individual.
Right.
Now you should
right.
be able to, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get back to the class then, and I want you to tell me, what do you think about this? Define the word journal. What is a journal? I actually love that there's silence here because this is something that raise your hand real quick if a teacher has ever told you to journal. Be honest. I bet every one of you has sat in a classroom where a teacher has told you to journal, but you can't even tell me the definition of a journal. So what is a journal? Look at the word, journ. Can you think of other words that start with journ?
Journey.
Journey, okay. So how could you connect that to the word journal?
Is a
feel like-
personal journey.
Okay, it's dealing with your personal journey, right? It's something that deals with you. Like I said, this is personal writing. So you're going to be writing about your own experiences, your own observations. You're going to be capturing details about people, places, and events in your life. So the question is, why? Why in the world would I want to crack open a book and start writing down everything that happens in my life? Does that serve any significant purpose whatsoever?
Can help you deal with things.
Okay, so it serves a psychological purpose. What do you mean it helps you to deal with things?
Like if you're confused or something, like you don't know what you want to do, writing it down can kind of help you sort through your thoughts.
Okay, so everybody look up at the screen, and I can tell if you're looking at me right now. What Colton said is very, very true. If you get nothing else out of journaling, you need to understand that journaling can help you with your mental health. We all have a health that's associated with our mind, and we can improve that by journaling, okay? Now that's personal writing, but that's not necessarily the writing that's going to be published, the journals that would be published for a large audience. What you're talking about, Colton, is more like private journaling, like the journals that you would put a lock on, the diaries that you put a lock on, okay? I want to give you an example of that though, Colton. I am currently in a weight loss program called Noom, and it encouraged me to do some journaling. And so I was writing out one day about, I was doing so well on my diet, everybody. Like seriously, I used to have I just had a lot of inflammation in my face, was feeling real good, you know, and I was pushing through and I was working hard for like 3 weeks, right? That third week hit, and there was one night that I started like raiding my refrigerator. I got into my chocolate stash. I got into the pickles. I got into anything that had like a strong taste. And I was just like consuming, like storm eating. And I journaled about that experience. And when I was journaling, I found out I had written in my journal, well, the reason that I kept eating is because I had already screwed up. And so like after I ate the first few pieces of chocolate, I decided, well, that's it. I might as well throw my hat in the ring, or not in the ring, but I might as well just give up, throw my towel in, because it's all over. Well, that kind of thinking, in hindsight, I can look at that and I'm like, whoa, that's a thought distortion. Just because I made one mistake and I consumed a couple pieces of chocolate, I was having like all or nothing thinking. I was thinking like, oh, I should just give up totally. Now, is that the truth? Should I have given up totally? Or should I just like persevere and keep going? You should persevere and keep going. You guys are the quietest group I think I'm going to have. Okay, so persevere and keep going. And so you can see like patterns in your thought. Like there's all or nothing thinking. Sometimes we justify. Like I found out that like if I go out to eat, every time I would go out to eat with my family or my friends, I would justify getting that piece of cheesecake or getting the extra like baked potato or something on the side. Why? Because it's special and I'm out to eat. So I justify it in my thinking. So you're right. All of that serves like a mental health purpose, right? But there are other reasons to keep a journal and to publish a journal, and that's the type of journaling we're talking about here. So what are some other reasons to keep a journal?
Tell a story.
Who just spoke? Was it Sailor?
Mm-hmm.
Sailor, what did you say? To tell a story?
Yeah.
Why would you want to tell your story?
I don't know, to make sure people know the truth about it.
Okay, the truth about you. Do you think that people care about the truth about you?
Not everyone, but some people might.
They may not now, but someday in the future they might. Let's think about the Diary of Anne Frank. That's a written record of all of the things that she goes through, and it gives her personal responses to those events, right? And we can look at that historically and we can be like, wow, we start to understand the time that she lived in. Or you could look at like the autobiography of Frederick Douglass, who was like a black guy living in, I think, Maryland, and he was a slave for a long time in his life. And he talks about all kinds of like really graphic things. So it does, it's cool when you share your story, people can learn from it, okay? There's other reasons. You can organize your thoughts, preserve your memories. There's so much in my life that I've already forgotten and it makes me sad. You could gather material for future writing. There's lots of uses for journals. So a journal is your journey. It is your personal experiences that you've recorded, but it's more than that. It's also your response to those experiences. So you don't have to take notes, but I do want you to kind of at least follow along and read for me here. Eve, can you unmute your microphone for me? Because I want you to read the next slide out loud on personal writing.
Personal writing is writing about your own life. You can write about your life in a number of different ways. You can, for example, keep a journal, making a day-to-day record of events and thoughts, or you can prepare an autobiography.
All right, Emily, you're going to be next. So if you would unmute your microphone, you're going to read to us specifically about journals.
A journal records the details of someone's life. Someone's journals are private, meant for the writer's eyes alone. In this lesson, however, you will learn about the journals that are written to be shared with others.
Perfect. Okay, next slide is understanding journals, and I need a new reader, so I'm going with Sailor.
Although journals will vary greatly from person to person, all journals serve the basic purpose of allowing people to save important information about their lives. A journal is an ongoing record of important events and personal observations.
Yeah, I'm not somebody that like, I know some people that can record like daily occurrences and they're just doing that so they remember everything that happens in their life. That's not the kind of journal that I could keep. For me, like I like to journal about specific things that happen. So like if I go on traveling adventures, like if I visit a different state, I might write that down. So I don't do like a daily kind of journal. Some people do. Sometimes it's like those aha moments that we have. And sometimes that kind of gets spaced out. It might not be every day. It might be once a week kind of thing. But it's the experiences that happen to you. So understanding journals is next. It says journals are used to do these things. You're going to record information, express your ideas and feelings, preserve your memories, and gather material for future writing. There are 3 purposes that I want you to consider. And actually, I'm going to give you the purpose for your journal that you're doing in here. But it says journals and their writing times differ according to specific purposes. To summarize everyday experiences would be daily, expressing your personal feelings, that could be weekly. The last one is to record special occasions. That could be like occasionally. If you had to keep a journal, which one of those purposes would best be suited to you? Eve, did you want to talk? I thought I saw your hand up.
The third one, probably.
The third one, okay. So talk to me, what kinds of experiences are special to you that you think would be worthy of journaling?
I don't know, like when on the rare occasion right now when I would hang out with my friends or something like that.
Yeah, dudette, sorry. That's actually a really cool thing that you say that. So like, I think I've told you about Anne Frank and Frederick Douglass. What are some current events going on right now that are having a strong impact on our lives that people might be interested in someday, like 100 years from now?
Here's a hint.
Adrian just she just held up a hint for you. Did you see it? If you didn't, she held up one of these. I'm not wearing one right now because I'm in a classroom. So what is this all about?
COVID.
Yeah, it's the COVID, right? Now, if you think that that's the only thing going on in the news, then you need to watch some news because that's not the only thing happening in our world right now. What else is happening? And by the way, I don't recommend you watch a lot of news because it's pretty negative sometimes.
Saharan
Yeah,
dust.
the COVID virus. What else is going on in the world?
Saharan dust.
Oh, we have a dust storm that's coming in. In fact, it might already be here. Like 3 nights ago, my eyes started to water, my nose started to drip. The next day when I woke up, I was walking around with lots of congestion, and I was like, what in the world is going on? I got on Facebook and somebody told me that we're having a dust storm that's rolling in across the Gulf. You know where that thing came from? Africa. We've got a dust bowl coming in from Africa right now, and it is like killing people's allergies. In fact, I just saw something on the news that said that it could even be potentially deadly for some people.
But they
That's
were talking about, like, it's supposed to make the most amazing sunrise sunsets.
Oh, okay. So you've got a different take on that. Now, my journal would probably slant it toward the negative thing that happened to me. But Mrs. Boats, maybe you've seen some really cool sunsets as a result of this, and maybe that's the approach, that's your response to those events. We all respond to the same events in different ways, and that's the beauty of this. So you've got COVID, you've got a dust storm. Raise your hand if you've heard about them killer, like murderous hornet things, whatever the heck they are. They're disgusting, right? Yeah, so we got those that we have to deal with. What else is going on in the world?
The Black Lives Matter.
Okay, Black Lives Matter. Like maybe you know something about George Floyd. He was a black man. He was, I think it was in Minneapolis. A police officer basically got in a situation where his leg was on this guy's throat. He ended up dying. And that caused huge protests to start erupting throughout the United States. Never have I ever seen this much response to something like that. This is one of the biggest protests that I've seen in America. I guess we had the Women's March, like, you know, a couple years ago, something like that. But this is huge too. What else is happening?
Trump election.
The Trump election. Okay, so you've got President Trump, who's trying to take office again. You've got the other runner for the Democratic Party, that's Joe Biden. He's trying to get into office. I mean, there's all kinds of things going on in your world right now. Crazy stuff. And you are being impacted. You are being so impacted. And so right now you think, well, this is just my life. This is the way things are. In 100 years from now, people could look at your journals the same way that they look at the journals of Anne Frank, of Frederick Douglass. They're going to want to know what was going on during this time. In fact, I can't remember if it's like a government agency or who it is, but there's a group of people out there right now that they are requesting people journal this and submit their journals so that they have this huge archive of life experiences that are happening during this COVID situation. People are going to want to know about this, and it's your writing that can inform them. But also, there might be some beautiful things that come out of this. For example, COVID kind of sucked because I had to stay home a lot, right? But there was one day when I was taking that extra bite of ice cream and I thought to myself, you know what? I've got all this extra time and I can look at it negatively or I can start to look at it positively. With all this extra time, maybe I could cook more. Maybe I could use healthier ingredients. Maybe I could go for walks. Maybe I could do things to get healthy. And that's what I started to do. So that's something else that's cool. So anyway, that's a lot about journals. But I wanted to show you one more thing. Well, I want somebody to read this actually. Let's read the next slide. Madison, would you unmute yourself, please, and you be the reader this time?
Just as people keep journals for different but specific purposes, they also write their journal entries in different forms. Some use long, occasional entries that are similar to short stories or essays. Others write shorter entries recording bits of information, fragments of conversation, or comments on books, read, or movie scenes. Depending on the writer's purpose, the journal entry can be almost anything.
So if you're thinking, man, Mr. Reed's going to make me write a journal and I don't know what that looks like, I can't tell you what that looks like. That's up to you. This journal belongs to you. All I can tell you is that it's got to have two things. Number one, you've got to describe people, places, and events that are happening in your environment. Okay. And number two, you've got to give a personal response to those things. So this says, regardless of its length, a journal entry generally includes those two things that I just talked about. The details need to be vivid, and the personal reactions need to be honest. Those are the two big requirements of a journal. You have to write about what's happening, but you don't stop with that. You also follow that up with your response. So here's an example of a journal entry, and I'm going to read this one to you, okay? And I want you to start thinking about those two things. Let me call on somebody. I got a question here. Devin, I've got a question for you. Can you unmute your microphone for me? Devin, what two things have to be in a journal? What did I just say? Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot.
Vivid details.
Vivid details about what?
People and things that have happened.
Okay, so people, places, and events, right? What's the second thing that has to be present in your journal?
I don't remember.
You need to have a personal response. You need to react to those things in some way. That's your emotion, that's your feeling, that's your impressions. Does that make sense? Sailor, unmute your microphone. What are the two things you have to have in the journal?
Vivid response, or like vivid details and everything, and then a personal response.
Good. Eve, unmute your microphone. What are the two things you have to have in your journal?
Vivid details and a personal response.
Emily, unmute your microphone. What are two things you have to have in your journal?
Personal experiences. The date.
You have to have, yeah, well, dates are events, so you have to be descriptive about what's happening, and then you have to respond to it. Last one, Madison, what two things have to be in your journal?
Vivid details and your personal response.
Good job. Let's look at an example now, and I want you, as you look at this example, to be thinking about those two things. It says, July 27th of 1931. The 27th day of July 1931 was clear and hot. The heat of the whole summer was condensed and dripped into the afternoon. What does condensed mean? Anybody take showers? You ever have a hot shower and you like run your finger across the window and there's like that foggy stuff on there, that condensation, right? That's when the air is so heavy with water that when it cools off, it just drips. That's the kind of detail that's here. Okay, so it says the 27th of July, 1931 was clear and hot. The heat of a whole summer was condensed and dripped into the afternoon. A small crowd of people pressed lightly against the gates of the long ramp at the College Point, Long Island. As we drove in, I saw many familiar faces. We had all spent sweltering days together on the wooden ramp, watching trial flights. Now the preparation was over. We were ready to go. I supposed that they were relieved as we. Friends came up to say goodbye. We hope that you are going to get through it all right, with voices and expressions that actually said, but we don't think you have a chance. Picking up our baggage, we hurried into the shade of the factory office. A heavy, dark heat hung over everything. Men in shirt sleeves ran in and out. So tell me about the detail. What's vivid? Has to have those two things, vivid detail. Identify some vivid detail in there.
Like when he said he saw many familiar faces.
Saw many familiar faces, yeah. That is detail because it definitely says what's being seen. but also the fact that it's familiar also is a personal response. They are familiar faces, right? Okay, so what else is detail?
Like the description of the summer and the heat.
The description of the summer and the heat, that's very detailed. Those are excellent details. What's the setting? What's the time, place, and mood? Devin, what time are we in?
1931.
1931, and it's a hot month. It's July of 1931. Okay, what about the place? Do we know where we're at?
No.
Hmm,
Wait,
we-
yeah. College Point, Long Island.
Yep, College Point, Long Island. Excellent. And who is involved, Eve? Who are the people? Who are the characters in this?
I'm not sure the people that work
Well, certainly
there.
you have the author, right? And the other people that are there pressing their faces against, so it's like a group of people. Okay, there's personal observations in here. There's dialogue. I love the dialogue in this journal entry too, because literally it tells you what they literally said. It says, we hope you're going to get through it all right. But what were they actually saying?
Come on, guys.
Bye.
I think that they have a chance.
Yeah, I'm sure that you've had those situations too. My mom walks down the stairs and she's got a nice brand new shirt on and she's like, oh, Chase, how does this shirt make me look? And I look at her and I'm like, oh, you look real good, Mom. Okay, what does my face tell you?
Please don't ask me that question.
That what?
Please don't ask me that question.
Please don't ask me that question. What does it tell you about my words? I said she looked real good, but my face went, "Ugh, you look real good, Mom." Showing you that my words are not,
True.
everyone, my words are not
Genuine.
true. They're not true. I'm lying, right? I'm a liar. I'm a big stinking liar. Okay, let's move on. All right, so, and we've talked about that. Let's move to the next one. I'm asking you to journal. This is your assignment. You're going to journal. And it says, right here, over the next 6 weeks, you're going to maintain a journal. But it doesn't have to be 6 weeks. It could literally be the next 6 days if you want it to. So this can go short term or this can go long term. That's up to you. But how many entries does your journal need to have?
At least 6.
At least 6 entries. Okay. So you can think of your journal as a place to collect your experiences and thoughts worth saving. Upon submission, your journal must include at least 6 entries. Each entry has to include those 2 things that we talked about. So for every entry that you make, you have to include vivid and significant details about the people, places, and or events. And the details need to be, furthermore, they need to be in chronological order. What does chronological order mean, Madison?
In order of the events that take place.
Time order, chronological order, time order. Number 2 is your personal response to those. So these are your thoughts, feelings to those people, the places, and the events that you describe. Do you have any questions about that particular part? You know what you're doing? All right, next slide real quick. It says choose a purpose, decide how often you're going to write in it. Remember, if you want to, you can literally do this 1 entry for the next 6 days. You can submit this on Sunday and your assignment will be all done. But if you're somebody that you think, you know what, this is kind of interesting. I think I want to wait and I want to really savor some moments. So I want to wait for those aha moments, those moments when I have a big idea or something strikes me as kind of unusual. Well, then you're going to just wait and you're going to find 6 events that happen throughout this 6 weeks. And that's what you're going to record. You're going to have to pace yourself with that. I don't know. Mrs. Vaughn,
Yeah.
what activities are they planning? Do you have what other activities are they going to be doing this summer?
So
With Upward Bound?
every day we're going to have a life skills class, which is going to incorporate some new skill that they're learning. Some of those you're going to get actual supplies for, so it might be something you can continue to work on. Additionally, every week we're going to have one evening activity, which is optional, but would be a great event to speak about.
That's what I was looking for, because that last one is all about the special occasions and the events.
And those are going to be every Tuesday evening.
Awesome.
We'll talk about
Okay.
that later tonight.
So everybody, raise your hand if you want to just get this over with and do the 6-day thing. It's okay to do that. Okay, so Sailor, that's what you're going to do. You're going to start today. You're going to nail those things. Well, you can start tomorrow. It really doesn't matter, but just get it submitted before Sunday, okay? You got to have 6 entries, so 1 each day. And then make sure that each entry has those 2 things. Who thinks they're going to wait for those aha moments, those moments of self-discovery? Who thinks they're going to be doing the events, like special events? If you haven't raised your hand, you're out of options. So let's move on.
Mr. Reed.
All right. When you're doing this, you might be taking notes. Just think about the who, when, where, what, why, and how, and be super descriptive about that. I got an example here. Who? Dad, Mom, and me. When? Second day of our car trip to Texas. Where? We went to the flatlands along the Louisiana coast. And what? Well, we saw the features of the countryside. It was very different from home. There was flatter land. Have you guys ever seen Spanish moss on oak trees? It's stinking beautiful. Old mansions, like the beautiful homes with rich history in the South. Why? And then how are you going to do it? You can take those notes and you can use those notes to actually create a paragraph. This is what I'm going to end with. It's your last slide. Here it is. This was our second day on the road. We covered nearly 400 miles. We drove through some beautiful countryside with rolling hills of red earth and jack pines with cabins scattered among them. It was certainly different from the mountains and the trees at home. The land gradually became flatter, and instead of pines, there were oaks with Spanish moss hanging from them. They looked eerie in the late afternoon sunlight. Occasionally, I caught a glimpse of an old southern mansion sitting back among them like a movie set from Gone with the Wind. We stopped driving finally at 5 p.m. Dad was tired, Mom was hungry, and I was bored. Do you see the description? Yes, shake your heads, yes. Do something, give me some feedback, folks. Okay, yes, you see the description. Do you see the personal response? My reaction to it? Shake your head, yes, even if you don't.
Head.
Okay. All right, now, your assignment is posted to Classroom, so when you're ready to work on that, just go to the Classroom, click on the Classwork tab, click on Developing Writing Skills, which is right here. You'll open up this document. It's the exact same. Oh, well, you weren't in my last class. Never mind. And it tells you the same thing right here. It's same directions, okay? I've given you 6 places to put journal entries. Do not ask me how long your journal needs to be, because the answer is I don't know. All I can tell you is what has to be in it. And what has to be in it are the 2 things, vivid details and a personal response. And remember, this is the last thing I want to say. If you really want to get something out of this, don't just treat it like an assignment. I'm not going to grade your spelling. I don't care about your punctuation. I'm just looking for details and response. So try to get something out of it personally, but also remember too that you're capturing history. And I'm serious. Your experiences will someday matter. You're leaving a written record for future people. And that's important. Do you have any questions? All right, well, that's it. That's all I've got for you.
Mr. Reed?
Yes?
Emily wrote a question in the chat box that asked if the journal could be a short story every week.
It could, as long as it's a true short story. Yeah, and really it is kind of like a short story because you're taking me through your life experiences. There's a plot to that. So just keep it in chronological, that time order. Give me lots of detail about people, places, and the event itself. Short stories are fine, but make sure I get personal reaction too. Other questions?